On July 1st, 2024, Hurricane Beryl swept just south of Barbados. Boats were destroyed, livelihoods collapsed, and for many, the storm exposed a deeper crisis. Without insurance, there was nothing to keep them afloat beyond the boat.
Never in the history of Barbados has storm surge overwhelmed the outer wall of the Bridgetown port, such that 2 vessels sank in what we consider to be the safest harbor of all.
So it was an early storm. It was a Cat 5 storm, and it basically formed and moved over a region which normally doesn't get those strength of storms at early in the year.
The national impact was devastating, with an estimated $193 million in economic impact, 58% of that with direct damage, 36% losses, and 5% in additional costs, exposing just how fragile our coastal livelihoods truly are.
It came before expected, so it catch everybody off guard. So a lot of boats would have come from Oistins down, because most of the boats would come to Bridgetown and then haul up.
It was badly damaged on the left side. Any time that I know my father having it, that's the worst he's ever had. And the amount of boats that were in here, it didn't work out safe. There ain't a boat that in this market that ain't get damaged.
Today marks 1 year, 1 day since the catastrophic impacts of Beryl across Barbados, the south and west coast, but particularly here in the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex, where there was significant damage to infrastructure and then over 200 vessels being significantly impacted.
240 boats were affected by Hurricane Beryl, impacting around 800 people connected to the industry. Of these, 176 vessels sustained structural damage, while 64 were declared total losses at the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex in Barbados. Losses from which many fishers and industry professionals are still struggling to recover to this day.
I would usually have on my apron, my boots, my head covered and everything, and I would be doing some kind of fish. 2 of the boats that I used to deal with is sank, and the other one is under repairs.
It's difficult for all of us to see livelihood, not a standard livelihood, because our income was gone. We wasn't making the income. We had to take our savings and put into bills, because everybody knows bills will keep coming. Even if you're not working, they're going to keep coming and they got to get paid.
As I stand here right now, some of them have not made 1 trip because they're still under repair. So there we go. Boat owner, fisherman, vendor, consumer. Not as much fresh fish as we would like, because there are not enough boats as we would like. Right now, they have the girls that do flying fish. You understand? And I know for a fact some of them have not done as well as they would have in the past. We depend on that season. Some people depend on that season to send their children back to school in September.
According to our 2025 survey of fisherfolk, recovery from Hurricane Beryl has been slow and uneven. 9 respondents needed at least 2 months to return to work, 5 took over a year, and 5 still haven't recovered at all. Only a small number resumed fishing within weeks, and for many, the storm's impact stretched far beyond July 2024. It has reshaped an entire industry, and even now, making strides to return to normalcy.
Need about 60 more boats to be able to get back to where we were before Beryl. But it is, a time for us to reflect and see that the Beryl was a reset for the fishing industry.
Through assessments, the damage left behind exposed deeper cracks, not just in infrastructure, but in protection. According to the CC4 Fish Policy Brief, only 3% of fishing vessels in the Caribbean are insured, and fewer than 20% of fishers have life or health insurance. And in Barbados, the numbers are even starker. Only 10% of respondents had insurance, and 90% were completely uninsured.
A lot of boats, being honest, were not insured before Hurricane Beryl. Insurance was, we sat and we talked to insurance companies about getting insured and so on, and it wasn't resolved at the time. It's very, very expensive to insure a boat because insurance companies say it as a high risk. And then the season, you see the season problem. 1 minute you got season, the next minute you don't have it. So that is very, very hard on boat owners and captains and so on.
In a 2025 survey, it showed that the most common barrier to insurance was cost. 5 respondents said insurance was simply too expensive. Others pointed to the lack of information or awareness, and 3 more described mistrust or difficulty navigating the application process. For many, insurance wasn't just out of reach. It was a system they felt was never designed for them.
The problem with boat insurance in Barbados is the value of the boat and the premiums that is collected by the insurance company. The boat owner does not see it being equal. The misunderstanding, and they call it that from an insurance agent, because the misunderstanding is that I'm going to pay more money in premiums than what my boat is valued. So why insure it?
Yet others understand it is an asset.
There's another group of persons who know that it's their boat, and if it's lost, they're going to get a replacement value for the vessel. That's another group. And then there's another group who looks at it that this is my income, this is how I support myself. Regardless of what the value of the boat is, it brings in income and supports my family. That's what I'm insuring. So there's 3 different persons, 3 different levels of insurance mindset in Barbados that needs to be addressed. And it's just a matter of education. If you own a vessel, regardless of the value of it, the insurance company in Barbados should come up with a cost that covers your boat.
Protecting a vessel is only one layer of security. Boat insurance covers the asset, but who protects the fisher? What happens when they can't work? That's where national insurance should step in.
Since I came into the industry, I used to work for different companies, and therefore my national insurance was being paid through those companies. And I knew, understood in those times how you would get back certain benefits like sick benefits, unemployment, and all those kind of things. The issue with the fishing industry, I think, is that over the years, the fisherfolk has not been, what should I say? We have not had no institution that educated us on a lot of things, right? In terms of the same national insurance and all those things. And while the fisherfolk work in the fishing industry and made a lot of money, right? There did not, to me, this embracement from external institutions to educate the fisherfolk on the need.
A lot of people wasn't insured because NAS is basically something that you got to keep paying every time you get paid. A lot of people that working in the fishing industry, whether it be Bridgetown or things around the country, but they don't work for people per se, like a company that will say at the end of the week we taking out NAS. So a lot of people were asked to do self-employed, and they were questioning the benefits comparing to working for somebody and being self-employed. And there were little odds and ends in between there that they wasn't pleased with, so they didn't do it.
Between 2020 and June 2024, only 33 people registered with the National Insurance Scheme. 2021 was the peak year, making 45% of all registration. By early 2024, registration dropped to 0. After Beryl, everything changed. From July 2024 to November 2025, 40 new fisherfolk registered. Only 4 signed up in late 2024, but once outreach intensified, 90% of all new registrations came in 2025, reflecting stronger engagement, easier access, and growing awareness of the need for protection.
We here at the Self-Employed Unit are catering our services to inform, to educate the fisherfolk about the benefits, about our new flexible arrangement.
With the gaps in information and financial protection now unmistakable, the National Insurance and Social Security Service took action. On March 17, 2025, it launched a dedicated self-employment unit created to raise awareness, correct mis- and disinformation, register and support groups long left outside the safety net, including Barbados's fisherfolk.
Contrary to popular belief, self-employed persons are entitled, or there are benefits offered to self-employed persons providing that they register. And some of these benefits include sickness benefit, there's maternity benefit, you have a variety of pensions, there's old age contributory pension, survivors pensions. And now I'm on that topic of pensions, it's quite interesting. We have an aging fisherfolk population.
According to our 2025 survey, more than 70% of respondents are 55 or older, and the remaining 29% fall between the ages of 45 and 54. The need for stronger financial protection becomes even more urgent, from understanding pensions and available benefits to long-term coverage for the workers in the industry.
And a lot of the queries from the fisherfolk in terms of benefits, yes, they're happy they can get sickness. The ladies are happy they can get maternity, and then there's no paternity and child grant with effect from June 1st, 2025. Most importantly is, the question is, I want to make sure I have something when I retire. I want to be able to still pay my bills. I got anything in there? Check the system. And that is an important narrative that we must continue, securing your financial future.
As far as the Social Security is concerned, we recognize that this is the lifeline of persons in the industry. Even though it is a slogan of the national insurance, I think that it should also be a slogan to us, and therefore we are working assiduously to mobilize persons into paying into that insurance. So far, we are having a lot of successes. We had the NASS in during our week of activities, month of activities, and we registered 47 persons. We will register some people through our training that we are conducting, our annual training that we are doing right now. We have them, national insurance, down on the list for training, and we are going to register more people. So right now, the national insurance is one of the biggest movements that we have, because we know that government can't support us for every disaster that come our way, and therefore we have to educate the fishing industry persons into understanding that it is also their responsibility to look out for their own future and their children.
To ensure ease of access, a new system was set in place.
Previously, we would have utilized an application form, but after the unit was formed, we had to sit with the staff and with the management of the NISSS to make the process more seamless and systematic, because we must recognize we cannot expect fisherfolk to come in from the sea or a fish boner to come from the market to fill out a form in an office to wait in a line. So we now have an online registration process, which I'm so happy about, because it has made life easier.
Under the government's proposed regulations, it establishes mandatory insurance requirements for all Barbadian registered vessels, meaning that all fishing vessels will be required to carry third-party insurance.
Well, it's going to be mandatory now. So we have, over a year to promote it, show them the benefits, work with insurance agencies that are willing to promote the sector. And I think they would be a lot more willing to get on board once they can afford the premiums and have, the 12-month payment plan that could be supported and built into their business, their usual business operations.
This proposed third-party insurance protects others, not the boat owner. It covers damage your vessel causes to another boat, injuries to others, and the liabilities outlined in the merchant shipping insurance regulations. However, it does not cover loss or damage to your own vessel, including hurricane or natural disaster impacts, a major concern raised repeatedly in industry conversations.
While we understand and we accept that government has a responsibility to ensure that our vessels are insured even if under third party. One of the issues that came up was that the fishers didn't think that the third party insurance was really beneficial to them.
Insurance is for a person that was only fishing industry a bit, this insurance thing with vessels, they don't really look at because the idea to a crew member going to work, the insurance don't really compensate the crew, compensate the boat.
Among the 24 fisherfolk surveyed, support for mandatory boat insurance remains low. Only about 23% agreed with making insurance compulsory. 38% opposed the idea outright, while the largest group, 42%, said they were unsure. The data shows that most fishers either don't understand the policy, don't trust it, or remain unconvinced that the policy serves their needs.
People don't want to put money into things that does not benefit them. And while it is good that you are insured to protect the other person, you also want to be insured to protect yourself. And I thought that the conversation, government will talk to a party because that is their mandate and what they're expected to do. But I felt that, and I said it at a meeting, that when the conversation came up, the comprehensive conversation should have gone into the conversation at the same moment.
Preparedness now means acting early, long before landfall, securing vessels, protecting gear, and having a financial safety net in place. With storms forming sooner, intensifying faster, and behaving less predictably, traditional preparation is no longer enough.
According to NOAA, National Hurricane Center in Miami, they have forecasted that this will be an above normal hurricane season. In 2023, where it was only a 30% chance of having an above normal hurricane season. And then in 2024, we saw that increase drastically to 85%.
If you look at the coast, keep in mind that with climate change, we also have a rising sea level. And that is simply because water takes more space as it warms up. Just think about putting water in a kettle. As you bring it to a boil, the level in the kettle will rise slowly as you get close to boiling point. Now, of course, the seas are not going to reach a boiling point, but even with a small change of temperature, you're still going to see the sea level rise gradually.
But what we will provide for them is that now we have, or looking to input more observational tools out there, such as buoys. As you know, the Barbados Met Service has employed what we call aeronauts, which actually these little sailing instruments, I put them for want of a better word, that actually measure sea conditions out there, which will feed into our models to help us gauge when something is happening.
Rainfall patterns in Barbados have become increasingly unpredictable over the last 6 years. The data from the Barbados Meteorological Services shows dramatic swings from extremely wet months to sudden dry spells. Between June and October, there is a consistent record of high rainfall, but the year-to-year differences are widening.
I wouldn't like another disaster to happen for them to have to make informed decisions, but we all need to learn from it. The NAS needs to have learned from that situation, and by extension, the wider public, everybody.
The importance of the Barbados fishing industry and the people who sustain it is undeniable, and as the climate shifts and risk intensify, preparedness in all its forms has become essential.
NIS is working with the vendors, and a lot of vendors have started paying their NIS, which will benefit them later on in life. And through Beryl, all of this came out, and a lot of the fishermen, fisherwomen, vendors, processors have learned and understand that is something that we need.
My boat is 33 feet, but I want to make sure, under those circumstances, storm, whatever, break the mooring, theft, whatever, that I have a replacement for my investment.
Fisherfolk are becoming increasingly aware of the importance of protection from personal insurance to national insurance and now mandatory vessel coverage. But awareness alone isn't enough. Building a system that truly serves the people who rely on it most is vital.
We have to start from scratch. Beryl proved to Barbados that insurance is a necessity when it comes to having an asset. It could have been flooding, it could have been houses, it could have been roofs. It just happened to the fishing industry.